And good afternoon, I'm Dan DeRose with 19 News, coming to you from our digital desk, and it's time for From Someone Who Knows. This is a weekly segment I do here at Cleveland 19. It's a chance to watch perhaps a larger portion of an interview, or maybe even an entire interview on a given subject, and it is from someone who knows that's in a situation. It can be anything from someone who survived a tornado to a family member who's lost a loved one to murder. But in today's case, we are talking about the Cleveland Metroparks. The Cleveland Metroparks in the last month have seen now 2 murders in what are considered after hours, parks that are technically closed, but yet people were in the parks, disagreements started, and shots were fired and people were killed. Our latest happened just early this morning at the Euclid Beach Park. It happened at 12:45 a.m., so just after midnight tonight, and 2 people were shot here in what was an argument that ended in gunfire. And this involves not only the Euclid Police Department, but the Cleveland Metroparks Police Department. Of the 2 individuals who were shot, one remained at the scene. When officers arrived, they started treating that man. He was a 21-year-old man. He did not survive. The second man who was shot, someone was able to take him to a local hospital where he was treated, and what we're being told has non-life-threatening injuries. Now, this kind of sounds familiar, and the video is going to look familiar, but now we have to go to Mills Creek Park in Cleveland. This was back on June 11th. It was 4 in the morning when an argument started there. And again, this was a park that technically was closed, but no, there are no gates. And the 25-year-old young woman and mother who was killed in that situation. So you have 2 murders and now questions about how the police can better secure these parks, and is there even a way? Let's start with the obvious. The Cleveland Metroparks are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of acres large. It would be impossible to put up fences and put up gates around every Metro Park. That's just not possible. And you're going to hear from the head of the Metroparks Police. We're talking about Chief Kelly Stillman. His interview today, not only about the murder from early this morning at the Euclid Beach Park, but what the plans are now headed into a 4th of July weekend, and what they're going to do, what they plan to do. And then our Katie Tursek in the second part of the interview is going to ask the question, what more can be done? And in some circumstances, and this is something I learned today, the Metroparks cannot technically close off a park for a very specific reason. But let's get to the first part of the interview that's really going to talk about the 2 individuals that were shot today, the 2 young men, both around the age of 21 years old, one who died, one who survived. Here is the person who knows. This is Chief Kelly Stillman from the Cleveland Metroparks.
Do you have the latest update on the condition of the second person who was wounded?
The non-life-threatening injuries, as far as I know, he's still being treated at Metro General Hospital.
And I know you said the parks close at 11. They aren't necessarily secured at 11, too. Is there anything going to change out of this incident, or any additional enforcement over the holiday?
Well, as much as we'd like to, in areas that have access for fishermen, we are required to keep those accessible 24 hours a day. So as much as we'd like to close those and secure, sometimes we're just not allowed to by law. So we have to do the best we can based on the circumstances that we're faced with.
That said, are there going to be extra patrols or anything
We
additional?
always, the park's open from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. and at 11 o'clock or really before that, we start actively, aggressively getting people to vacate the parks. And we move kind of in a systematic manner. We had started tonight, or yesterday for a matter of fact. We had started at Edgewater, and then, move on down east. We had not gotten to Euclid Creek yet when this all transpired. So we do every night make sure people aren't there, and those that are there, we issue citations heavily for after hours in our parks.
Chief Stillman, I just want to, obviously, suspects, everyone's going to want to know about that. Do you know if it's one, multiple, any update on that?
The best information I give you now, it is one. We have a real good description. Again, we're still working with witnesses to determine maybe a better way to find out who this suspect may be. But that investigation is ongoing as we speak.
Can you, or go ahead.
No, I was just going to say motive. Any update on that?
From what I understand, it appears that there was an argument that ensued, and someone decided to end it by pulling out a firearm.
Can you describe the scene? Like, what did the scene exactly look like? Why was it so big?
Well, the scene was big because when we arrived, we found a lot of evidence that pertained to the crime itself, and that was very expansive. So we had to determine where the crime actually started and where the crime actually ended up, and that was in a big area of Euclid Creek.
Okay, and now were people having a party? Like, what was going on that caused?
You know, we really don't know exactly why they were there. They were there illegally. We know that. That's a big no-no. But why they congregated at Euclid Creek, we're still trying to determine.
And that was not the case when it came to the Mill Creek shooting back in June. That was a group that had been out all day. It had been a family picnic that then went to the bar and then ended back up at a Metro Park that was, yes, technically closed. The police at the time of that shooting had already been through the park, but that shooting was at 4 a.m. And is it possible to patrol every inch of a Metro Park every single night? No. Is it feasible to have an officer at the entrance of every Cleveland Metro Park and think about all the different entrances? There's never just one. No, that's not feasible either. So we're going to take a quick break and then listen to the second half of the Chief Stillman's interview about what Metro Parks is going to do. Here we are, July 4th. They've already had their second murder of the summer in a Metro Park. So give us 60 seconds and we'll be right back. And welcome back to From Someone Who Knows, the second part of our interview today on the topic of two murders in the last less than a month in Cleveland Metroparks. Now, is this happening in every Metro Park? Absolutely not. There are hundreds, dozens, let's just say dozens and dozens of Metro Parks around the area that remain completely safe. But when you have two murders in less than a month, some questions have to be asked about what can be done, if anything, to secure Metro Parks that technically close at 11 o'clock. And you heard Chief Stillman say, by law, while those parks are closed and people can be issued tickets, they have to remain physically open for fishermen that are headed out to Lake Erie, perhaps Cuyahoga County River. They have to remain open for fishermen. So now let's get back to the second part of our interview from our Katie Tursek, trying to ask what can be done and what will be done this 4th of July.
Do you think like citations are enough at this point? I mean, if it continues to happen, is there talk that maybe you guys will do something different?
Well, we always are addressing our patrol techniques and seeing what other avenues we can go. Like I indicated, that park has to be open 24 hours a day for fishermen access. so we're kind of limited at what we can do. Really, just going in, I don't want to say a show of force, but a lot of policemen, letting people know the park is closed. We give them a couple minutes to vacate, and those that don't, then they meet us personally and up close.
So to clarify, there is going to be a show of force this weekend, or is it just the standard police force that's always out there?
No, we have everybody working. We have the Cuyahoga County Sheriff's Department coming down to assist at Edgewater. You will see a boatload of policemen. But that's just normal protocol for the 4th of July, not because of what happened today in the early morning hours.
So the increase is not at all related to the shooting?
No.
And then when in the press release you talked about there were many witnesses. Are we talking like neighbors, or are we talking like people that happened to be there that were a part of this gathering?
Yes, there were people that were there. I'm not sure all of them were part of the gathering, but all were cooperative enough to stay after the fact and let us find out why they were there, what they saw, and what they could give us to help us get this person off the street as fast as possible. We've had 2 prior incidents in a very short period of time. I want to stress both of those were successful. Both of those suspects were arrested and are being charged with the crimes that they did. I feel very confident that, unfortunately, this one, a little bit different circumstances, we'll get to the bottom of it and make an arrest at hopefully in the very near future.
Okay, and then victims, the ages and the names. I know we were kind of like 18, 20. I just didn't know if we had an update on that.
Well, the victim that was deceased is 20 years old from Cleveland. And the other one that was non-life threatening, I believe I don't have the exact age, but 18 to 20.
And then do we have their names?
You can get the name of the deceased from the medical examiner. And the other one, if you can wait a little bit, we'll get that to you.
Sounds good.
Did it seem like this group was all younger people or teenagers?
I was down there shortly after the scene happened, and most were young adults. There was one juvenile that was there, along with, he was accompanied by an adult, but they were removed from where this all transpired.
Now, this isn't too far from a mobile home park that closed down recently, where there used to be, hundreds of people, eyes on the neighborhood.
That's
Has
correct.
that impacted being able to, get ahead of these incidents at all?
No, it's just, it's unfortunately, it's just the way society is anymore. And with law enforcement, it's challenging. And especially like we've indicated and talked about, the park, although it's closed, is not closed. So we have to do the best we can and be creative in ways to make sure that these incidents don't happen. And we continually do that on an evolving basis. Again, we're looking at more technology for that area. When that will be installed, I don't have a time frame. But, there are things out there to help us. We just have to make them happen. Again, a big thing is the people that were there are willing to help us. That's huge. A lot of times in these situations, people are uncooperative because they know the suspect and they don't want to give that person up. But this doesn't seem to be the course of action that happened early this morning.
There was another shooting about a month ago. Is there any
We've
update on
had
that?
2 in the past probably 3 weeks. So,
Any update on that previous shooting?
well, the one, an arrest was made. And then, I'm sorry, the second one was not shooting related. That was a vehicle that was used to end that person's life. And both of those people are in jail and being charged.
And Chief, when you say there was a lot of evidence in a large area, what evidence are you talking about?
Well, evidence is huge, from blood splatter to shell casings to clothing to shoes that were left when they were running away. I mean, it's a whole multitude of things. So when I say a lot of evidence, it's all encompassing, which is big. There's a lot of evidence that was left behind when this incident all went down.
When you talk about a wide scene, do you have any specifics of where it started? Did it start further in the park and make its way to the entrance, or vice versa?
It looks like it started about, I would say, halfway into the park, and then ended, if you're familiar with the park, by the concession stand and bathroom area.
And how far apart would you say that is?
Well, that's probably, I'd say 50 yards.
And again, we're talking about the early morning murder in Euclid Creek Reservation, Euclid Beach Park, as most people know it, or just Euclid Beach. It was 12:45 this morning, so just after midnight, that an argument ensued. And as you heard Chief Stillman say, someone decided to pull a gun out to end that argument. And that is now the second homicide that the Metroparks have had from shooting, from arguments that start with people who were in the park after hours, technically illegally, but the Metroparks kind of have their hands tied. You can't secure every single Metropark. You can't have an officer at every single entrance all night, but they can do patrols, and you heard them say they're going to start to be a little more strategic with patrols to try and cut down on some of this late night activity. This has been a segment of our From Someone Who Knows. It's a longer stream. You get to see the entire interview. If you watch Channel 19, and we hope you do, you get to see shorter versions of stories. But sometimes we feel you need to hear more, and we have past episodes, full episodes. Just scan that QR code, get your phone out, turn on the camera, point it towards that QR code, and a link should pop up. You can click on that link to see past episodes that really run the gamut. We've got episodes on there from people who have survived tornadoes, loved ones who are still missing, justice in their lives, and you can see full episodes of that there. But until then, I'm Dan DeRosa with 19 News, and this has been From Someone Who Knows.